Hello? Mr. P. How are you, sir? Happy New Year. Yes? Of course. I'd be honored. Thank you, sir. It would be an honor. Right away, sir. You too.
You alright? You look like you just seen a ghost.
I got the job.
So you're the commissioner of House of Glory Wrestling?
Yeah. I guess so.
So what's gonna be your first assignment?
Go after Charles Mason.
You want me to get HOGPD on the line?
No. We've tried that before. No, this is personal. We have to go in a different direction here. I know what we need. We need a bounty hunter. And I know just the man for the job. Yeah, I just did my year in review for 2022. We just started a brand new year, first week of 2023. And I said, in my year in review, when I was going over what the biggest stories of the year were, I said, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the number one biggest story of last year, nothing else is even close, was the resignation of Vince McMahon from WWE. The fact that after all these years, Vince McMahon finally stepped down. Forced to do it, of course, but he stepped down. Triple H took over as the head of creative, and it was a new era for WWE that we thought we would never see. Not until the man dropped. But I also made a comment on a podcast that I did last month, because the Wall Street Journal had a story that came out not even a full month ago that said the rumors were that Vince McMahon was trying to get back in WWE, that Vince McMahon was, He was plotting his return to the company that he ran for 40 years. He thought that he got bad advice, and he felt that, if he would have just waited it out, the whole thing would have blown over, and he could have just continued on as is. And I said, 2022 was the fall of Vince McMahon. I said 2023 could end up being the resurrection of Vince McMahon. We are not even a full week into the new year. We are 6 days into 2023, and guess who's back? Vince McMahon has wormed his way back into... Now, granted, he owns the company. He never really left. But he has wormed his way back into WWE, back into the board of directors. Vince McMahon is back. Happy New Year, everybody. This is how we are kicking off the new year. When this week started, I said, man, I just want a really good Wrestle Kingdom show. I'm looking forward to Wrestle Kingdom, right? We got the Royal Rumble coming up. So I figured that's what we'll talk about on the podcast this weekend. I didn't want to have to talk about this shit. I really didn't. But here we are. And I'm going to get in great detail about it. Not tonight. I'll say a few words about this. I'm gonna save it all for episode 790 on Sunday, because there is so much to unpack in this story. And this is a SmackDown review, and I could be here all night talking about this. But I will say this. This should come as a surprise to absolutely no one. We've all joked about, what does Vince McMahon do day to day? Now that he's not running WWE anymore. Does he have any hobbies? What does he do? Well, now we got our answer. He doesn't do anything. He's bored. And he can't stand the fact that he's out of the picture because it's all he's ever known. And the company just went along fine without him. WWE has been existing perfectly fine without Vince McMahon for the last, what has it been, 6 months now? Almost 6 months. And so now he decided to make his big power play. This was not just Vince McMahon saying, oh, I'd like to come back. This was not WWE going to Vince McMahon and saying, look, we're interested in maybe selling the company and we need you. We need you back. No, this was Vince McMahon sending a letter to the board of directors making it very clear that in order for the company to make any major deals, whether it's television rights or selling the company itself, there's been a lot of rumors about this company being sold. This company has been prepped for a sale ever since Nick Khan and Vince started firing people and letting people go. These waves of mass releases, trying to get as much red ink off the books as possible, trying to trim the fat. Okay, this is a company that has been primed for a sale for at least 3 years. This was Vince McMahon basically giving them an ultimatum, putting a gun to their head and saying, here's the deal. Either you let me back in as the chairman of the board, the executive chairman of the board, or I'm not going to approve of any media rights deal that you make. And oh, by the way, this is the year where they're going to be negotiating their next rights package. So I'm not going to approve of any media rights deal, nor am I going to approve of any sale. Now, he is the majority shareholder in the company, so he would certainly have say regardless if the company was going to end up in a sale or acquired by somebody. It's not as if he was completely removed from the picture. You know what I mean? He was still there. He was still the majority shareholder. He has the majority of the voting power. But it wasn't good enough for him. I need to be back. I need to be back or I'm not going to approve any of this. Basically, he was holding his own company hostage. And I think that in a nutshell, kind of tie it all up in as easy of a way as I possibly can. When people say, oh, well, and in the press releases and all the documents and everything that's been going out over the last few days, he feels that he needs to be in the trenches here to make sure the WWE can get the best possible deal, right? This is not about WWE getting the best possible deal. This is not about getting the best possible deal. This is not about making as much money as possible. That's not what this really ultimately is all about. This is about ego. This is about Vincent Kennedy McMahon. That's it. This is not about anything else. He just can't help himself. He would hold his own company hostage when his own board of directors, as we have found out, because there were letters and emails that went back and forth last month between Vince and the board, about all of this, and he made it very clear what he wanted, the board responded and said, hey, we would love for you to be part of the process if, in fact, we are going to enter into sales discussions, because obviously he needs to be part of the process in some way. We're happy to have you help us out in that regard. However, we don't believe that it would be in the best interest of this company if we were to acquiesce to all of these other demands and, to bring you back in, make you the chairman again. The board of directors of his own company, which, by the way, includes his daughter, his son-in-law, and Nick Khan, because they're on the board too. The board unanimously sent him a letter back saying, we don't think it would be in the best interest of this company if we agreed to these other requests. And we found out that they also know of information that has not gone public yet that could potentially be damaging to the company. I don't know if it's another sex claim. Who knows? Who the hell knows what that could be? Apparently, there's more information we're not even aware of. And the company thinks that it could be damaging to the brand. What was Vince's response? We saw the letters and the emails. What was Vince's response? He disagreed. That's a polite way of putting it. He felt disrespected by this. And that's when he made his ultimatum. So don't let anybody else tell you. You're going to see a lot of takes about this. You already have, right? Everybody on social media has an opinion about this. I have an opinion. You have an opinion. We've seen a lot of news reports about this. It all stemmed from the Wall Street Journal story. You're going to be hearing a lot of things. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise, that this is about anything other than Vince McMahon and his ego. He is a fucking egomaniac. And ultimately, that is what this is about. Now, right now, it's just a matter of Vince McMahon being the chairman, and Vince McMahon is going to assist in a potential sale. Who's going to buy him? Who knows? I'll get more into who might actually buy WWE. We'll talk more about that on Sunday. But I know there's a lot of trepidation, a lot of concern now that this is only the beginning. It starts like this. But then what happens? Is he going to end up in charge of creative again, right? Is he going to end up with the headset at the gorilla position? Is he going to be back in his office in Titan Tower? This will only get worse. If you don't think that ultimately Vince McMahon is not going to try to get even more hands-on with the company, you are a fucking idiot. You haven't been paying attention. And all I've been hearing all day from people are, oh, SEC, he can't do that. They'll arrest him. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they'll just knock down the door and carry him out in cuffs. It's against the law. He can't do that. He only said that he would be. Vince McMahon is going to do whatever the hell he wants to do. This is a man who used funds. The company is on the hook for funds that he used for hush money payments over shit that he did. This is not somebody who gives a fuck about the rules or the law. So he'll file another letter. He'll file an amended letter saying, okay, now I want to increase my responsibility. He'll figure out a way. This will only get worse. This is only the beginning. And while it is going to make for a very interesting year in WWE, and it will make for good content for people like me and other podcasters and YouTubers. And I know people are joking, oh, it's like a television episode of Succession, and I've never seen the show, but I've heard good things about it. And we could joke about it and have fun. But this is not funny. This is sad. And if you are a fan of WWE, if you have been a fan of what Triple H has done, and Triple H has not been perfect. There are elements of WWE that are not much better off now than they were 6 months ago, and then other elements that I'm enjoying greatly. But the one thing I can tell you that this company does not need is to eventually get to a point where Vince McMahon is back in any position where he can have any influence whatsoever on the creative direction of this company. That is not the answer. That is absolutely the worst possible thing that could happen. And just him being around, and the more he gets involved in this, I'm telling you, we're going to get closer and closer and closer to that point. And if you are a talent in that company, if you are an announcer in that company, if you work in production in that company, anybody, all these reports about people who now, oh, it's such a stress-free environment now compared to how it used to be. And talent, the air smells crisper, right? It's just a nicer experience now to come to work. Every single one of those people has reason to be concerned now going forward. Every single person who was let go by the previous administration, who Triple H brought back, or perhaps signed with the company when otherwise they would not have done so. William Regal just started his new position as VP this week. Good luck with that. All of those people, every single one of those people have reason to be concerned. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Only Vince McMahon knows what's going to happen. It's like a real-life storyline playing out, only this is real life now. Why is this happening? Because the man is an egomaniac, that's why. And for all the people who have been tweeting me and sending me messages now for the last 48 hours, well, you know, he owns the company, so shrug emoji. Fuck off. I'm aware of it. What do you think, I'm stupid? Yes, I'm aware. He can do whatever he wants. Just because you can does not mean that you should. I learned that when I was a kid. I can go down the street and punch somebody in the face. That doesn't mean I should. It's all about ego. That's all this is. That's all this ever was. I have a lot more to say about this because that's only scratching the surface of all this. But I wanted to give you a taste of what you can expect on the podcast on Sunday. So that'll be on episode 790. This is a dark day for WWE. And I know the stock has been way up. Hey, if you got WWE stock, sell now. The stock has been sky high. People seem to think it's because Vince is coming back. It has nothing to do with Vince coming back. It has everything to do with talk of a sale. Wall Street loves that. They love talk of a sale. Don't confuse the two. This has less to do with Vince McMahon being back in the picture and more to do with the possibility of a sale. But we'll talk more about this on Sunday. Let's talk about SmackDown right now. SmackDown was in Memphis tonight. This was a show that was completely carried by the Bloodline. The Bloodline continues to be the best thing about WWE television. Outside of the Bloodline stuff tonight, this was not a good episode. Didn't think this was a good episode. A lot of very short filler matches that were heatless and were just kind of there. The Bloodline, though, they carried it, man. The scenes with Roman and Sammy, as always, I thought those delivered. But we now have a championship match for the Royal Rumble. It will be Roman Reigns defending his WWE Universal Championship against Kevin Owens, who got the win last week in the tag team match, him and John Cena. They beat Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. So that match is set. Tag team titles were on the line tonight. The Usos, 586, I believe, or 7 days as the tag team champions, defending their titles successfully against Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. And Hit Row, which has been pretty much on death row since the first time they came back last year. Hit Row has been an epic fail since coming back to WWE. Top Dolla had a singles match tonight trying to qualify for the Royal Rumble, where the object is to not get thrown out over the top rope, which will work well for him, but he won't be in the Royal Rumble match because he lost to Ricochet and then promptly Hit Row turned heel when the match was over. On the one hand, hey, it's something different, right? They had to try something with Hit Row. On the other hand, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think it's a lost, at least for Top Dollar, I think it's a lost cause at this point, but they're going to try something different. We'll see if it works. This is your WWE Smackdown review for January 6th, 2023. I am the Solomonster. Subscribe, leave a super chat. I know many of you have already done so. Look at this. September Red just subscribed to the channel. I say the word subscribe and a subscriber pops up on screen. Look at that. Now, if I ask for a beautiful bikini model, look at that. None pops up on screen. I tried to will it into existence and it simply did not work. But leave a super chat. You could also become a channel member or gift memberships to other people. And if you like this video, that would be great. We can get to 400 likes tonight. We will do the Be the Booker set, and we're already at 264, which is great. So let's get to 400. If we can, we'll do Be the Booker a little bit later. Now, before we get into all this, I want to acknowledge I did play a little clip there at the beginning of the stream. I went up earlier, special announcement that I am the new commissioner for House of Glory Wrestling, which is very exciting. I'm very honored that Mr. P would entrust me with that position. And so now the fun begins. We have our next show coming up on Friday, February 3rd. back at the NYC Arena in Queens, which means no SmackDown review that night, but you don't have to worry about that for a few more weeks. But that'll be our next show. And thank you. All the kind messages in the chat before and on Twitter. I'm very excited. I am still doing commentary. That has not changed. JD and I will be doing commentary for the shows, but it is more, it is a new task. It is a new challenge for me here in 2023. And there's been some crazy things going on in HOG, and it's time that we clean it up. And so I shall do my best. But thank you for all the kind words. I very much appreciate it, and I am very excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of fun, let's get into this SmackDown show. SmackDown tonight opened with the members of the Bloodline showing up at ringside, much as they did on Raw Monday night when they interrupted the intro at the beginning of the show. They came out. They were throwing furniture around, raising hell. Before Roman Reigns' music hit, out comes the champion with the wise man Paul Heyman. They make their way down to the ring. Roman said that he was going to give us what we want because we are going to hear from the honorary Usos. And so he gave the microphone to Sami Zayn. Sami said that we saw the way they kicked off Raw on Monday and SmackDown here tonight. He said that this year they're showing the world that 2023 belongs to the Bloodline. And they showed up to send a message. Solo Sikoa went out there on Monday night, and he won his match. He and the Usos went out on Monday, and they won their match. And then Roman was smiling, and he was kind of laughing, and he said, I don't really care to talk about this year. I want to talk about last year. Because as a matter of fact, I want to talk about last week, which is when Roman and Sami lost to Kevin Owens and John Cena. And he said, what do you think happened? He goes, some say that we lost. And he corrected everybody who thinks that. He started laughing and he said, the tribal chief don't lose. He goes, that don't happen. So he had to chew on it and think hard about it. He said, I didn't lose. He goes, he lost. And he was pointing to Sami Zayn. He goes, but this is what I can't figure out. You go, why did you call your shot? Why did you call your shot? Why did you go out there and guarantee a victory? He goes, I do that. He goes, I call my shot. I'm the tribal chief, not you. Are you trying to be me? Are you trying to be the tribal chief? Do you want my job? Do you want to be the tribal chief? And he started to get angrier and angrier until he was yelling at Sami. And Sami was slowly being backed into the corner. So he's asking him the same questions over and over again. And Kevin Owens' music interrupts and he walks out on stage. And Owens said that Roman needs to calm down because he's got some misdirected anger going on here. He said the problem that he has is not with Sami. He goes, the problem that you have is with me. And he said, you've been saying it for weeks. You've been saying that you have a KO problem. So your problem is with me. It's not with him. So he goes, it's time for you to take care of that KO problem at the Royal Rumble in a match for the undisputed championship. Roman said that all he wants is for Owens to leave and disappear forever. Owens said that when he beats Roman, he'll leave, but he won't leave forever. And he said to Sami, I'll see you whenever you decide to dig your balls out of Roman's pocket. That last dig, that's just foreshadowing the inevitable. We all know where this is going. It was a good segment. This was not as great as a lot of the Bloodline segments are. Actually, they had better segments later in the show. So I thought this was good. This was not one of the stronger in-ring Bloodline segments. I thought it was a perfectly fine setup for the Royal Rumble. And after the next match, Michael Cole gave us the breaking news, which is that Roman Reigns will, in fact, defend his championship at the Royal Rumble against Kevin Owens. No stipulation announced, at least not yet. It's just one-on-one for the title. And you had to know that was going to be the case. I said as much last week. That's why Owens had to get the pin in that match, because now he has a plausible reason to go to Roman and say, hey, I deserve the next shot. So now he's going to get it. And it's going to be very interesting to see how, if at all, Sami factors into this, because as we found out later in the show, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but Sami Zayn is going to have a match on TV next week with Kevin Owens. Roman has put him in a match with Kevin Owens next week. So as I look ahead, I am reminded of the first match that Roman and Kevin ever had at the Royal Rumble for the Universal title, which was in 2017. Funny enough, in that same building. It was at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. The roles were reversed. Owens was the heel, Roman was the babyface. The crowd, I guess, didn't get the memo because they were still booing Roman. But remember, Kevin's his BFF, Chris Jericho, was suspended above the ring in a shark cage for that match. So how will Sammy factor into this? And I've thought about it. Could they add him and make it a triple threat? They could. They could. If it were me, though, I would not have Roman and Sammy in the ring together until the Elimination Chamber. I just think you want to hold off on any interaction in the ring like that, like in a match between them, until you get to Montreal. Whether the Bloodline has already turned on Sammy by then or it happens after that, you do Roman and Sammy in some form at Elimination Chamber. So maybe Sammy ends up being the special referee. I don't know how you get there because that would seem very unfair to me. Why would Kevin Owens ever agree to that stipulation to make Sami Zayn the referee for their match? But, you know, again, part of the story here is that Owens and Zayn have been friends for over 20 years. And Roman is testing his allegiance. Are you loyal to me? Are you loyal to the Bloodline? Or are you loyal to Kevin Owens? So Sammy, as the referee being caught in the middle, could create some good drama. So I think he'll be involved in some way. I don't know exactly what role he'll have, but the match is now official for the Rumble. We had Kofi Kingston one-on-one with Santos Escobar. They were mimicking Royal Rumble elimination spots here in this match, trying not to have their feet touch the floor, which I thought it was kind of goofy. I don't know why they're doing that in a match where, you know, you're trying to win. This is not Royal Rumble rules, so I don't know what the hell they were doing here. Kofi got an SOS for a near fall. I guess it was just Kofi showing off. Kofi's going to go into the Rumble. He's going to do all of his usual elimination spots where he tries not to touch the floor. The floor is lava. Anyway, Kofi got an SOS for a near fall. Both men ended up on the ropes in the corner. Escobar attempted to pull Kofi in with a superplex. Kofi avoided it with a headbutt. And he attempted the old flying nothing. And on the way down, Escobar intercepted with a knee strike. Kofi came back with a jumping double stomp. And then after a distraction from Zelina Vega and Joaquin Wilde, Escobar landed a kick and the Phantom Driver for the win. You know, considering who was involved here in this match, I thought this was pretty average stuff. Again, it's hard, though, because a lot of these matches were very short. So it was pretty average stuff from these two. It was there to promote the Royal Rumble. That's really the only reason this match was there. A Royal Rumble, by the way, I pointed this out on Twitter the other day. As of today, Kofi Kingston is the only man still to have declared himself for the Royal Rumble match. And he did that over a month ago. Now, Ricochet qualified tonight, although it begs the question, why do some people declare and other people have to qualify? But that's neither here nor there. But I pointed out that it's been over a month. Kofi is the only man who has declared himself for the Rumble. We're only a few weeks away. You would think that the rest of the roster would be interested in trying to win themselves a main event title match at WrestleMania, but evidently that's not the case. If it were me, I would have been the second person to announce myself for the Royal Rumble. And then I would promptly hold on to the bottom rope and I would handcuff myself to the bottom rope. And I would stick the keys down my crotch, and that's where I would lay. Until the right moment, I would uncuff myself, I would sneak up behind somebody, I would give them about 5 low blows, and then I would dump them out of the ring. And that's how I would win the Royal Rumble. See, I've just given my strategy away. But these people, apparently, they don't care. They don't care about getting a championship match at WrestleMania. They're going to take their time. Then the match is going to fill up, and then they're going to regret the fact that they didn't declare themselves a month ago. So, anyway. Backstage, Paul Heyman consulted with Sami Zayn outside the Bloodline locker room, and Heyman said that he was not allowed in. Sami said, I got to get in there. I got to talk to him. I got to talk to Roman. And Heyman said that he wasn't allowed in. He reminded him about what he told him last week about being 3 steps ahead. Jimmy and Jay come walking in. They go right on into the locker room. Heyman told Sami that 3 steps down the road might still be a little bit behind. And he patted Sami on the back and he told him that he still loved him, but old Shmuley was not allowed in. Backstage, Liv Morgan cut a promo. She said the 30 women fighting in the Royal Rumble is chaos, but she thrives in chaos. She said that entering last would be the easy path, but if she had her way, she would enter at number 1 in the Rumble, and she would kick the crap out of everybody that came in after her. Not a very sound strategy by Liv Morgan. You know, if she had a manager, that person would likely tell her that. We got highlights from last week's segment with Bray Wyatt and LA Knight and Uncle Howdy or Harper, whoever the fuck it was. There was no Bray Wyatt on the show tonight, but we had highlights from that. LA Knight was backstage. He was with Kayla Braxton. He was walking through Memphis, he said. And he asked himself, do I really feel the way I feel? I love it. I love it. Some Mark Cohn. Great song. So Knight said he wanted to talk to us. He said he really feels the way he feels. He was really enjoying this. He said not because he's in Memphis, nobody feels good about that, but because Bray Wyatt, he cannot keep his goons in line. He says now all he has to do is pick up the pieces at the Royal Rumble. And he says that's not an insult, that's just a fact of life. Newsflash, LA Knight is very good at promos. It is one of his strong suits. Michael Cole said that they don't know much about this pitch black match that he and Bray are going to have at the Royal Rumble, other than the fact that it is no rules, anything goes, pinfall or submission only. I don't know. Sounds to me like you know a lot about this fucking match. We don't know a lot about this pitch black match, but we know that there's no rules and it's pinfall or submission only. Okay, that's a good start. That's more than we knew last week. Sounds to me like a knockout match. I'm just hoping they don't turn down the house lights. That's my only hope with this. But yeah, it sounds to me like maybe it's like a knockout type. I don't mean like Impact Knockouts match. My God. Just the fucking visual of Bray Wyatt now dressed up as one of the Impact Knockouts. That's not the knockouts I was talking about. We had Karrion Kross. I'm sorry for the visual, by the way. We had Karrion Kross and Scarlett. They were out to the ring next for their first mixed tag team match here on the main roster. They're going to be taking on Madcap Moss, who unfortunately is still with that name, and Emma. We got highlights, though, of the backstage segment 2 weeks ago where Emma slapped Scarlett in the back, and then remember Kross got up in Emma's face, and Kross said to Emma, "You have no idea what you've just done." I have to make an observation here. I'm watching this match, and I'm looking at Karrion Kross, and I can't be the only one who thinks this. I'm looking at Karrion Kross, especially with that hair. It's like CM Punk if CM Punk put on 40 pounds. That's what Karrion Kross looks like. I think it's the hair, but you know, he's got the tattoos, not as many as Punk. He's like a dead ringer for Punk. I don't mean like in the face. I just mean like as you're watching him in his body as he's like in the ring, he's like Punk if Punk put on 40 pounds. That's Karrion Kross. So the match was joined in progress. Emma and Scarlett, they quickly tagged in. And Emma took over quickly. She threw Scarlett into the corner. She hit a couple of lariats and got an Emma sandwich for a 2 count. She attempted a butterfly suplex, but Scarlett spun free and hit a forearm strike. Scarlett then landed a suplex of her own with a bridge for a 2 count. Nearly came out of her top. And then she was kind of adjusting it. That was a little dangerous there. I'm sure Fox will have their finger on the button the next time that happens. Emma fired back with a butterfly suplex. Karrion Kross broke up the pin. Emma then slapped Karrion Kross. And Karrion Kross got up in her face, started to back her up a little bit. Moss reached in, tagged into the match. He hit the ropes. Scarlett grabbed his feet so Kross could hit a lariat. Emma then went over to Scarlett on the floor. Emma ended up getting thrown over the announce desk, so that took her out of the picture. Back in the ring, Cross avoided Moss as he charged into the corner, and Moss went headfirst into the turnbuckle. Fell backwards, Cross hit the cross hammer to the back of the head, and then the cross jacket for the submission win. After the match, Cross put a Rey Mysterio mask on Moss, and then he pulled out a Rey Mysterio tarot card. And he had that in his hand. He was waving it around. This was not much of a match. We didn't really get to see enough of Scarlett, I think, to form any kind of real opinion, but at least she's getting some ring time. So we'll see whether or not she actually belongs in the ring. I know she's wrestled before. I have not fully formed an opinion of how she is in the ring because I just haven't seen enough of her. So at least now they're going to, I assume, start to get her some more ring time. What I saw here was not great, but again, it was very brief. I'm fine with them blowing through this quickly because Cross against Mysterio is just a much more interesting match, than him screwing around with Madcap. And I'm waiting for Karrion Kross to really have that standout match on the main roster. It hasn't happened yet. The last match, maybe it was the cage match in Saudi Arabia, I think it was. Or was it? No, it was Saudi. The match that he had with Drew McIntyre was not a bad match, but he still has not had that real standout match to me that I look at and go, okay, that right there, that's the best match that I've seen out of this guy on the main roster. That's the best match I've seen out of him since the NXT days. I have yet to see it. So if anybody is going to be able to give Karrion Kross the best match of his main roster run so far, it's going to be Rey Mysterio. If you go in there with Rey Mysterio, you can have a very good match. That's not good. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do together because I just don't think it's happened yet. Speaking of Drew, earlier today, we went to Jerry Lawler's Bar and Grill. He's got a bar and grill in Memphis. He was not there, but Drew McIntyre was, and Sheamus were. They were going to be challenging the Usos for the tag team titles later in the day. So they're at this bar and grill, they're hanging out, and they were playfully arguing with each other, and they were slapping each other in the chest increasingly harder as they were kind of recounting their history together, all the matches they've had together, some playful chops. And they talked about how when the lads are in town, it's banger after banger after banger. And this is how they got themselves hyped up for their tag team title match against the Usos later in the show. I guess they went off after that to have a pint. I could use a pint right about now. After all the news of the last 24 hours plus 36 hours, I could use 3 pints. Fortunately, I don't have any in front of me, so this water over here will have to suffice. I'm going to need a stiff drink when this weekend is over. It's not even over yet. I still have to prepare for Sunday. I've been in Vince McMahon hell for the entire day at the expense of all the other news that I was going to cover on Sunday. Now I got to play catch up tomorrow. Fuck Vince McMahon. Just created more work for me. So then we had the SmackDown Women's Champion. The brand new SmackDown Women's Champion. Charlotte Flair, gone for 8 months, champion in 1 day. She was out next to the ring for a promo. I don't even know if I noticed it last week, but in her new entrance music, they have the guy doing the soundbite at the beginning that says, "All Hail the Queen." I think they just stole that from Zelina Vega's music when she was coming out as Queen Zelina. They literally just took that soundbite and they added it to Charlotte's new music. Because the guy says, "All Hail the Queen," as she comes out to the ring. Charlotte comes out, and it was very apparent to me. In the first, not even full 60 seconds of her promo, this woman is not a babyface. They can try. Officially on the internal roster, I saw that she is listed as a babyface. In case you were wondering, well, maybe, I don't know. No, she's a babyface. This woman is not a babyface. This is not going to work. And it was painfully obvious they were piping in cheers for her in this segment. Not to say that there weren't people in the audience who were jumping up and down and cheering for her. There were. They weren't all sitting on their hands, but they were definitely piping stuff in. And I saw there was at least one person online who was at the show in the building who said that when the fans started supposedly chanting "Thank you, Charlotte," they were not chanting "Thank you, Charlotte." They were piping that in too, most likely. But they were supposedly chanting "Thank you, Charlotte," because she took the title from Ronda Rousey last week. So she asked the crowd to finish the catchphrase, "Payback is a..." And they all said, "Bitch." And she told them to ask Ronda because she knows. She said that she was away for 8 months and she was overwhelmed by the reaction in Tampa last week when she won the SmackDown Women's Championship. She said that she's always been about 3 things, and that's passion, consistency, and dedication to her craft. She went on to say that the champions expect the unexpected and they rise to the occasion, and that's what she has done now 14 times. That brought out Sonya Deville. She interrupted her. She said the fans may not be able to see through her lies, but she can. She thinks that there should be an asterisk next to her 14th title because she beat a half-dead Ronda Rousey. And then, out of nowhere, I don't know where this came. Is this a Memphis thing, or like how did this get started? But all of a sudden, the crowd begins to chant, "Whoop that trick," at Sonya Deville. And Charlotte acknowledges it and says, "I think the fans are calling you a trick." So they're all chanting, "Whoop that trick," at Sonya Deville, who did not seem very happy about that. Sonya asked her, "How would you fare against a fresh fighter?" And then she challenged her to put her title on the line right here and now. Charlotte accepted, and Sonya attacked her as she was taking her robe off in the corner. So we had an impromptu match here on this show for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte booted her in the face. That took us into the commercial break. Sonya was in control when they came back. She held on to a chin lock. Randy Orton would be proud. Charlotte battled back to her feet, hit a back suplex. Then she kicked up. She was playing to the crowd. She attempted a somersault lariat, is I guess the best way I can describe it. So, actually, it was more like a cartwheel lariat, a standing cartwheel into a clothesline. The cartwheel was fine. She's a gymnast. She can do a cartwheel. It's like a forward cartwheel, not a side one. But it looked like shit because she did the cartwheel forward, and then it was just this ridiculously weak-looking clothesline. So she tried something new, and it didn't look good. If she's going to do that move, she's got to come with some more oomph. So that looked terrible. Sonya rolled out to the apron. Charlotte went after her, but she got hung up on the ropes. And Sonya jumped back into the ring. She ate a spear. Charlotte locked on the figure 8, and she got the tap out. This was bad. And Charlotte just does not work as a babyface. So if they're insistent on her being a babyface, then she'll be a babyface for a little while, but it will not last. I guarantee you, it will not last very long. And I look at the SmackDown Women's roster and the people that she could potentially work with, because it sounds like Ronda Rousey is moving on. So that's the latest word on Ronda Rousey. For those who don't know, we were wondering last week, what's the deal with Ronda? You know, is she going to be sticking around? Is she basically wrapping up? Are they going to do a rematch with her and Charlotte at the Royal Rumble? It doesn't sound like they're even going to do a rematch, which, I mean, I'm okay with, but logically, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense why Ronda would not have been out there at the beginning of the show tonight to say, I want my rematch. You know, I got screwed out of that championship last week. I want my rematch. She wasn't even on the show tonight. Now, apparently WWE has some kind of plan for Ronda at WrestleMania, but Ronda now has been talking about wanting to go after the tag team titles. So we are probably going to get her and Shayna Baszler, maybe not at WrestleMania, but soon, her and Shayna are going to be taking those tag team titles from Damage Control. So Dakota and Io better enjoy those belts while they can, because if Ronda is talking about going after the tag team titles, then Ronda is getting the tag team titles. But what other potential singles match they could have for her at WrestleMania, if it's not Becky Lynch, which it doesn't sound like it is, I don't know. But it's not going to be with Charlotte Flair. So when I look at Charlotte and I say, well then, who's she going to defend her championship against? I've raised Raquel as a possibility, because Raquel is someone who is still relatively new to the SmackDown roster, and someone that they're very high on, but Raquel is a babyface. So it would just make more sense for Charlotte to be the heel, if that's what they're going to do. So I don't know what they're going to do. We're going to have to wait and see. But Charlotte as a babyface is no bueno. They aired the same Cody Rhodes video from Monday. It's the first in a series of videos they're going to be airing over the next few weeks. I assume it is going to culminate in him declaring himself for the Royal Rumble match. I think that's where it's headed. Making him a surprise in the Rumble wouldn't make much sense to me, because the minute you started putting these videos out, you already spoiled the fact that Cody is coming back. Most people are going to assume he's coming back for the Royal Rumble anyway, so you don't need him as a surprise. You can have him declare. All the top stars have declared themselves for the Royal Rumble in the past. I want surprises too. I want surprises just like you guys do. I want Triple H to shock us with at least a couple of nice surprises in the Royal Rumble matches this year. This is going to be the first Triple H booked, and maybe the only Triple H booked Royal Rumble this year. So I want him to put some surprises in there on the men's side and I guess maybe the women's side too. But traditionally, like when Triple H came back from his injury in 2002, he declared himself for the Royal Rumble. All the big stars have. Austin, Rock, Triple H, John Cena. Why would Cody be any different? So I just assume that that's what these videos are going to pay off with. They aired a new vignette for Lacey Evans. Now, I don't know how many of you even realize that Lacey was supposed to debut or re-debut on the show last week. And I pointed out in my review last week, I said, wait a minute. I thought they had a graphic the week before saying that Lacey Evans returns next week. And there was no Lacey Evans. And I read that it may have been due to time constraints, but she got pulled last week from that show in Tampa at the last minute. So now we get more videos. And in this one, she was beating up women at the PC using the Cobra Clutch, which was very interesting. The old move of Sergeant Slaughter. Maybe they will make Sergeant Slaughter her manager. There were people on social media trying to will it into existence, and Sergeant Slaughter, I think, even responded to somebody and said, like, he would be okay with, of course, a payoff. All those old school guys, oh, it's a payoff, yeah, sure. So he was down for it, but it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. You can bring in Sergeant Slaughter. He'll get more over than she will. But apparently she's going to be using the Cobra Clutch. We had Ricochet against Top Dolla, not Nada, in a Royal Rumble. Did I do that right? In a Royal Rumble qualifying match. They did not last 2 minutes, these two, which was for the better. It's very rare that Ricochet goes out there and has a bad match. But tonight was one of those nights, and I do not blame Ricochet for that. Top Dolla tossed Ricochet off the top rope into the ring. He hit a front kick, for a 2 count. Ricochet fired back with a kick and a float over cutter. Top Dolla, I gotta say, Top Dolla, he moves so tentatively that if he's not injured, I've floated the possibility that he's been dealing with some kind of knee problems. If I'm wrong and he's totally healthy, then I have no fucking idea why he moves the way he does. He's like a sloth. He really is. He's like a fucking sloth. The way he moves around that ring. I don't get it. If he's not hurt, I don't get it. He's so tentative in everything that he does. I said they have a performance center for a reason. Why he's not in it, I have no idea. So Ricochet got him down. He went up top, hit the shooting star press for the win to qualify for the Royal Rumble. After the match, Top Dolla raised Ricochet's arm, but then he was attacked by Ashanti. Ricochet was. It'd be kind of funny if Ashanti the Adonis attacked Top Dolla for dragging the whole fucking faction down, said you fucking just beat the fuck out of him. But he attacked Ricochet, and then Top Dolla held Ricochet so that B-Fab could give him a pump kick. So poor Ricochet was being ganged up on here by Hit Row. But fortunately for Ricochet, he has made friends in this company. And the biggest friend that Ricochet has is Braun Strowman. And you know what that means, everybody, because we heard the music and down to the ring came the Strowman Express. Here comes Braun Strowman. He wasn't circling the ring, but he made his way down the train tracks, down to the ring to fend off the heels here to save his little buddy. Braun Strowman is going to be challenging Gunther on SmackDown next Friday for the Intercontinental Championship. We did not see Imperium or Gunther on the show tonight. He was still licking his wounds after Ricochet cracked his skull open with a chair last week. Backstage, the Bloodline locker room had Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. And Reigns told the wise man, "Bring me Sammy." Heyman got on his phone. He dialed Shmuley, heading into the commercial break. We'll keep look at Braun. He is blocking out Charlotte Flair, and it looks like you see Charlotte's hair, but it looks like Braun. It looks like Braun has Charlotte. He has the clown hair, but it looks like Charlotte's blonde hair is coming out of his head. Now, you know somebody is going to watch this, or is watching this right now, and is going to be oddly attracted to this. But there you go. I'm going to keep him on screen. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit. I'm going to keep him on screen, though, for a little while. He'll watch the rest of the review with me. So we come back from the break. Back to the Bloodline locker room. Sami Zayn walks in. And Roman Reigns tells Sami to sit. Sami says, look, I have to say something first. He acknowledged him as the tribal chief, said that he is not trying to be him. I'm not trying to be you, right? I am not trying to be the tribal chief. And he said that if there's anything I did that gave you that impression, I'm sorry. And Roman leaned forward and he said that he doesn't accept his apology. He says he holds himself to a very high standard. At the end of the day, he's got to control his anger better. Nobody deserves to be spoken to like that, like he did at the beginning of the show. Nobody deserves that in front of the whole world. So no, he does not accept Sami's apology because he should be the one apologizing to Sami. And he tells Sami, I'm sorry. And Sami said, fine. Said that he knows Roman is under, as the tribal chief, he knows Roman is under a great deal of pressure. Roman said that he's been embarrassed to say it, but, you know, KO is right. He goes, I'm not mad at Sami. I'm mad at him. And I'm projecting my anger for him onto you. And that's not right. He said he's mad at KO, and we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. He goes, ain't that right, wise man? Paul Heyman gets up, because he was kind of sitting in the back. He gets up with both titles. He sits down next to Sami. And he said Roman was giving Sami a chance to redeem himself because next week on SmackDown is going to be Sami Zayn one-on-one with Kevin Owens. And at first, Sami had a look on his face like maybe he was a little nervous, but then he smiled and Sami was in agreement and he promised to take care of Owens for Roman Reigns. So the plot thickens here with these two. We hear the Usos theme music play. Sami gets up. Oh, I got to go to the ring. And Roman says, no, wait, where are you going? He goes, take a seat. You'll watch with me. So Sami took a seat. He was going to watch backstage with Roman. This was much better than the opening segment in the ring. Every segment that I have ever seen, these backstage segments in the Bloodline locker room with Roman and Sami, I don't know that any of them have been as good as the first one. When Sami finally got into the Bloodline locker room, that was just gold. But every segment these two have together in the back like that is fantastic. And this one was no different. And you know what I love about these segments? And it's really all about Roman Reigns and the way that he kind of carries himself when he's addressing Sami. It's the tension. Because you know, like there's this underlying, right, Braun? Right? You agree with me, right? It's this underlying tension where you just feel like he can snap at any moment. It reminds me of my father, to be perfectly honest with you. And I know some of you know this feeling. When I was younger, my father had a bad temper. So when I would act up, which was a lot, it was bad. And so it was scary. And so when I did something wrong and I thought, uh-oh, he's going to find out or whatever. And then he would come home and my mother told him I did something wrong. There was this tension. Like I was waiting for the eruption. I was scared to death. And it kind of reminds me of that. There's that underlying tension where you don't know when Roman is just going to fucking snap on Sami. I love it. I love that. I didn't love it when I was a kid, but I love that tension in these segments. It's so good. So we had the Usos in the main event here on the show, defending the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship in a match that was supposed to take place last month, but Drew was held out because of the busted eardrum against Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Groovy Goose, you know, you bring up a great point, the Jello Pop Super Chat. What is that? Is that the $45 one? All you got to do, if that Super Chat ever gets triggered again, you'll see. That's me from when I was 5 years old, freaking out. I don't know what I was even freaking out about. I was a handful. I was a handful as a young man. See, and look how I turned out. I turned out okay, right? I turned out to be a sensible person. I think I turned out to be a fine, upstanding human being, right? So we had tag team titles on the line. In the back, they cut to the back. Sammy is enjoying some popcorn during the match as he watches, and he has the bucket, and he kind of puts it out to Roman in case he wants some popcorn. And Roman just had this bewildered look on his face. He looked over at Paul like, is this guy for real? So then they cut back to the match. We come back after the final ad break. And McIntyre and Sheamus, they hit double white noise maneuvers in each corner to both Usos. So we had Sheamus hitting Jay in one corner with the white noise off the middle rope. Drew hit white noise to Jimmy in the other corner. Sheamus got a 2 count after the one on Jay. Drew tagged into the match. He took down each Uso with a neck breaker, and then hit a huge dive out over the top rope, wiping out both Usos. Michael Cole could not help himself. He could not help but take a dig at Top Dolla. As Drew McIntyre went soaring over the top rope, he said, and I quote, "Now that's how a big man flies." So poor Top Dolla is he's getting it every which way. So McIntyre back in the ring. He hits Jay with a Claymore kick. Seemingly has the match won. Titles are on the line, right? So we're going to have new tag team champions. Not so fast. Jimmy makes the last second, and I do mean last second save. I mean, he was close, but he did make the save at the last second. And then this next part here, it's such a small thing, but I loved this next part. It's just one of those little things that I love. So they cut to the back. Right, we cut back to the Bloodline locker room to see Sammy and Roman and Heyman. Now, in the previous cutaway, I said Sammy was eating popcorn. And Roman looked at him like, what, is this guy for real, right? This time, they cut to the back. Sammy has a popcorn bucket. Roman has a popcorn bucket. And Heyman has a popcorn bucket. There he is. There's Bratty Solomonster. Is that Uffman with the $45 super chat? See, what a little brat. I'd smack that kid upside the head if he were my kid. You won't be doing that again after that, I promise you that. You like that, huh? The Top Dolla is... When I was thinking of Top Dolla before, I said, what does he remind me of? I said, he's like a sloth. And normally, you know, when I see like these memes or whatever that have, the meme of the sloth where it looks at the camera and then the caption underneath says, "How about no?" It's one of my favorite memes. Normally, sloths, when you look at them, they're very cute. I don't find Top Dolla to be cute, but I find him to be incredibly slow and boring. So, yeah, no, he reminds me of a sloth. Anyway, I love this scene. 1 minute, Roman's like, is this guy for real? The next time they cut back there, they're all enjoying popcorn. I just thought that was fucking great. I love it. I think that's just fantastic. So back in the ring, Sheamus tried for the Celtic Cross to Jay. Jimmy, though, made a blind tag, and they got the 1D to Sheamus. And the Usos seemingly had the match won, but what's good for one is good for the other. Drew McIntyre made the very last second save to a big pop from the crowd. McIntyre ended up outside the ring, where Solo Sikoa gave him the spinning solo on top of the ringside barricade. That brought out, which the referee did not see. That brought out Ridge Holland and Butch. They attacked Solo Sikoa to isolate him. Jimmy ate a brogue kick, and then Jay pulled Jimmy out of the ring at 2 to save the titles. Sheamus then climbed up to the top rope And really, he climbed up to the top of the ring post is what he did. And from the top of the ring, he was very unsteady up there. So he got to the top, and then he just sort of, I don't know if he was unsure of himself or his footing wasn't steady or what it was, but he jumped off and wiped out both Usos on the floor. I was kind of worried watching this that he was going to, tear out his one of his knees. So I would like to see him not do that again, because we need Sheamus healthy. We're so close to WrestleMania. Poor AJ Styles, he fell out of the ring on a simple move at a house show and broke his fucking ankle. And he's probably going to miss WrestleMania. We need Sheamus healthy so he can go to WrestleMania and win the Intercontinental title. We can't be having him coming off the top rope and risking injury here. So back inside, Sheamus gets Jimmy up for, I don't know if he was going for air raid crash or what he was going for, but he had him up. But first, he saw Jay on the apron. So while he's holding Jimmy, he gives Jay a kick, and he almost lost his balance. Jimmy ends up rolling him up, and without the referee seeing it, Jay from the outside, using his feet, pushes against his brother to give him added leverage, and that is how the Usos pin Sheamus to retain their tag team titles. So I think earlier I said 587. It's not 587. It's 537. 537 days for Jimmy and Jay as the tag team champions. And they cut backstage one last time. And Sammy was emptying that popcorn bucket. He was so excited. It was it looked like he was releasing himself. Popcorn went everywhere. He was celebrating the Usos' big win. And that is how they went off. And by the way, Braun, you can leave now. There you go. There we go. Everyone, you can be happy now. We got Charlotte back on screen. There you go. This show was completely carried by the Bloodline story. Were it not for the Bloodline on this show, I don't know, there would be nothing on this show tonight that I would have really liked. It was all about the Bloodline, from the opening segment to the backstage segment, and the main event was very good. Again, more Bloodline. So this was completely dominated by the Bloodline, and it makes me wonder, because most weeks SmackDown is good or very good, especially as compared to Raw. What the hell is this show going to look like when the Bloodline is no more? Because the Bloodline has an expiration date. I don't know that the Bloodline is going to just disband after WrestleMania. They could lose their titles and still be the Bloodline for another year. Like, we don't know exactly where they're going to go with these guys. Maybe Roman goes away for a while, takes a break after WrestleMania if he loses. But boy, I'm trying to envision what this show looks like without the Bloodline and without this Sami Zayn story. It's not good. So I hope Triple H has something in mind. Because without the Bloodline, SmackDown, we talk about SmackDown being the A show these days for WWE. That could change real quick if he doesn't have something good to replace this when it goes away. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll here. Well, most people enjoyed the show tonight. 61% thumbs up. 25% thumbs in the middle, and 14% thumbs down. Those are the scores for SmackDown tonight. The Bloodline dominating the show. Let's head on over to your Super Chats. There we go. You can send a Super Chat on in, and I will be reading them here on the air, and I do very much appreciate all of your support, including that $45 drop before from, was that Uffman? I believe it was Uffman. And again, hit that like button. We are currently at 437 likes, which means we're going to be booking some matches here in a little bit. So thank you guys. You smashed the goal tonight, as you always do. I could always depend on you. Brumakian Productions dropping a $2 super chat saying that if Vince McMahon goes beyond what he says, hello disaster. If? I like how you use the word if. You're funny. Brumakian, you might have a career in comedy here with that. Shin, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Lakers Pats. Most memorable January 6th coup I've ever seen by VKN. King Bling Blah. Commissioner Solomon, who is the bounty hunter? Gonna have to wait to find out. I had someone in mind. I had someone in mind for Mr. Mason at our next show, and in due time, you will all find out who it is. Yeah, the one thing about doing this show for so long is you make connections, you befriend certain people. So it's easy for me to reach out sometimes, either by phone or by DM or whatever it might be, call in a favor every now and then. Deep delicious chicken and turkey with flavor. I am predicting a Vince McMahon Hall of Fame induction. He will be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but that will not be this year. He doesn't even want to go into the Hall of Fame. So when he goes into the Hall of Fame, he'll be dead. Vince, when they were doing the Hall of Fames and he was still around, he didn't even want people mentioning his name. Like, he hated that. So that's one thing I am confident in saying, that we will not get a Vince McMahon induction this year. Does he deserve one? Absolutely. But it's not going to happen this year. Flamethrower Fluff Salisbury says, I want Barrett to announce Vince coming back by saying, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. It's funny, you mentioned Barrett. With Pat McAfee going away to do College Game Day, the plan was Wade Barrett moves from NXT to SmackDown, and they brought back Booker T to be the commentator with Vic Joseph on NXT. And that was only going to be until the end of December. Well, that's changed now. And Booker T is now basically the permanent color announcer with Vic Joseph on NXT. I don't know where that leaves Wade Barrett. WWE has not clarified what that means for Wade, because Pat should be back soon. As soon as the College Game Day stuff is over, which I don't know if it might be now, Pat McAfee is going to be back on SmackDown. So are they going to do a three-man booth? I don't think they need a three-man booth on SmackDown. Maybe they do a three-man booth in NXT. And it's Wade and Booker and Vic. I would just hate for Wade to be the odd man out, because Wade Barrett's a good announcer. So I just don't know where he's going to end up. So we'll have to see. King Bling Blah, Roman against KO at the Royal Rumble. Would you make Sami Zayn the guest referee? I would find a way. I mean, logically, you just have to figure out a way to do that, because it would just seem like the odds are stacked against Kevin Owens. So the easiest way to do it, I guess, would be to have a match on TV with a stipulation where if Owens was to lose, Sami would be the referee. Or it could just be something coming out of the match that he's having with Owens next week. But yeah, I think him in a referee position where Roman is going to test his loyalty. How loyal are you? Are you loyal to me, or are you loyal to him? And then something happens in the match and it just feeds into the storyline more. I don't see how you have that match and not have Sami involved in some way. So a guest referee spot to me would be the likeliest spot for him to end up in. But, to have him, like Lakers Pat says, in a shark cage. Now you're just literally copying the exact thing they did with him and Roman 6 years ago. I can't believe it's been 6 years, my God. JB Bell with the $35 super chat. I think that's worthy of a yes chant. What do you think? Hell yeah, it is. Thank you, brother. He says, cheers to you on the commissioner gig. Thank you very much. Make sure you ask the great commissioners of yesteryear to guide your pimp hand and make it strong so that the talent at HOG might learn a talent's place. Seriously, though, congrats. Thank you, JB. I appreciate that. We've got great talent on the roster in House of Glory. I've been there now for, it's gonna be 5 years, and we got a great roster of talent, except for Charles Mason. He's a dick, but we got a lot of good guys on that roster. But it's about time we kind of lay down the law here. Thomas Colella with the $10 super chat. This just proves that Vince McMahon is the most selfish person. Instead of retiring, he is coming back to do a rerun episode of Monday Night Raw every week and sell, because if he can't have it, then nobody can. King Bling Blah, is a sale of WWE bigger than Vince stepping down? It depends who it's sold to. Absolutely, it could be. A sale of WWE could be terrible, depending on who buys it. There's rumors now that, the Saudis might be interested. They could throw their name in the hat. And there's any number of companies that can buy WWE. We have seen how corporate mergers go. We've seen how acquisitions have gone. They can be beneficial to the company and strengthen the company, especially if it's, let's say, a company that's not as big as WWE, that doesn't have as much money as they do, and then if they get kind of snatched up by a company that has a lot of money, that would be a benefit. WWE has plenty of money, so I could see them being acquired by somebody, and it ends up being a very different company, and that could be a very bad thing. So it's one of those be careful what you wish for type things. It absolutely could be a bigger story than Vince stepping down. But a lot of it depends on who actually buys it. Derek Fleming Jr., counterfeit Dolla sucks. Dr. Dakota Scorpio, first thing that Solomonster is going to do as commissioner is vacate all of the HOG championships, bro. Then have reverse battle royals and pole matches for the belts, bro. I can promise you that is not going to happen. Tonic Blaze, here's a joke to uplift your spirits. Why did Princess Peach choke? Because Mario came down the wrong pipe. I was going to give you the badum tis, but it's not even worth it. Terrible. Giovanni, thank you for the super chat. Only way Vince is leaving is in a casket match. Black Wolf with the $5. That moment when Sammy tried to give Roman popcorn, then we go back to all of them eating popcorn was so funny. This storyline is unpredictable. I love that scene. It seems like such a minor scene in the grand scheme of things, but it's moments like that really make this storyline. Mr. Andrew, I was so excited for a Triple H booked Rumble and Mania. Oh well, they even spoiled the Rumble match with its promo picture. Are you talking about the little bolts of electricity that I noticed in the Royal Rumble advertisements? I wonder what that could be. Sam Dankman Weed, The Commish, starring Solomonster, Fridays at 8 p.m. only on ABC. I love The Commish. Somebody, I forgot who it was. Somebody on Twitter, after I posted the news, mocked up. It's amazing how quickly people mock these things up. They mocked up an image from the opening credits of The Commish TV show when Michael Chiklis was on the show, but it was his show back in the day. And they put my face on his body. And I laughed, out loud I laughed. Because I loved that show when I was younger. I used to watch The Commish all the time. And then I watched Chiklis when he was on The Shield. I watched all 7 seasons of that. I even watched the first 6 episodes. He did a show, a 6-episode run for Paramount Plus of a show called Coyote. And I guess they didn't renew it. I haven't heard anything new about it. And I know he was in the Fantastic Four movies and all that. I followed a lot of his career. I'm a big fan of Michael Chiklis. I like his work. Lupo says, congrats to Mr. HOG Commissioner. Thank you very much. Marquand, just got back from celebrating my birthday just in time for the stream. Well, I'm glad you made it in time. The stream's always here, even if you're late. Sean D, I'm going to have to re-download Pandora for this. Well, you re-download Pandora or Spotify or whatever app you need. It's going to be a very interesting episode 790 on Sunday. You know where to find the podcast each and every week. James Hollins with the $4.99. How would you feel about Dominic Mysterio being in the Final Four at the Royal Rumble along with Rollins, McIntyre, and Sammy? I wouldn't like it. I like it if they had a Final Four that was less predictable. If Dominic is in there at the end, you know he's not winning. There have been years where the final four in the match, like, legitimately, you can't predict who's going to win. Like, you could make a case for any of those final four guys. Those are the Rumbles I like. It makes those final few minutes more dramatic. You put Dominic in there at the end for, like, comedy relief, what the fuck is the point of that? Like, you know he's not winning. So I wouldn't do that. Bob the Builder, Tony Khan wins Tweet of the Week. Congrats, Commissioner. I did like Tony Khan's tweet. Of course, I'm sure some people, it made their heads explode, but I thought it was good. Liquid Sharingan with the $10 super chat. Peacock sub canceled. Told NBC Vince is the main reason as to why I am canceling my subscription. I had Peacock sub for the WWE archive content. F off, Vince. I am done with WWE. I refuse to come back now. Well, as long as you stick around here, we're all good. Don't leave here. Corey Blake with the $10. Congratulations, Commissioner Solomonster. By the way, PSA, hit that like button. Do you think Brother Love and Kevin Dunn are praying that Vince comes back to oversee creative? Well, I wonder if John Moxley thinks that Kevin Dunn is a fan of Vince McMahon.
Fuck Kevin Dunn.
Well, I didn't even finish my sentence, and he already told me what I wanted to know. I'm sure that they are loving this. I'm sure that when they heard the news, first of all, I'm sure when they heard the news, they were the least surprised of anybody in that company. Because if anybody knows Vince McMahon, it's Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn. So I guarantee you that they were not surprised at all to find out about this. Joseph Manna with the $10 super chat. Right now, Kevin Dunn and Bruce Pritchard are popping bottles at Titan Tower. Mr. Notorious Chico, 86. Being a WWE fan of over 35 years, I was extremely pissed by what Vince McMahon did today due to so petty, and WWE will definitely regress as it was before. So I'm seeing in the chat that the House of Black has been given a new name. Is that accurate? And if so, what is this new name? And why would they be getting a new name? Cameron Johnson, congrats on being named the Hog Commissioner. Hog gave you a well-deserved Supermax. Thank you, Cameron. Hey, Angelo. Became a sound-off superstar. Thank you, Angelo. Sean D. Does Vince's return mean no more Celtic workouts, Kana-chan TV, and so on? Right now, none of that changes. For the time being, none of that is supposed to be changing. But, again, this is only just the beginning. All I can say on that is stay tuned. Jamil, thank you. Brewster Loving Man, with Vince back, I predict Bruce Pritchard will be announced as head of creative by Monday. Jackie Fowler with the $25 super chat. Kings of the Black Throne. All right, so that's their indie name. All right, that was the indie name I think that Malachi and Brody King were using for their tag team, right? In like PWG. I mean, that's not bad, but I don't see any reason to change it. That's very weird. Jockey, though, says, as a fellow horror fan, would you consider reviewing Megan, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, Evil Dead Rise, and the Friday the 13th prequel series, Crystal Lake, coming to Peacock? What? Prequel what? I didn't hear about that. There's a Friday the 13th prequel series coming to Peacock? How come I didn't hear about this? The last I heard about any Friday the 13th stuff is that the movie rights were still being held in abeyance. And so I don't know when there's going to be a new movie. I was not aware of there being a prequel series, though. That is news to me. Yeah, but I have to see these movies. I'm so far behind on things. I haven't seen any of these movies yet, so if I see them, I might do a review. I just have not Unless some of them aren't out yet. I'm guessing some of those aren't even out yet. But if I see them, I might do a review. Yeah, no, I gotta find out more about that. I did not hear about that. Mr. AJ Allday, the Bloodline runs WWE. If anybody has any Vince allegations handy, now is the time to say it. Time for Vince to go. I want to know what this non-public information is that the board mentioned in their letter to Vince. If it's come out since then, or that to me is one of the most interesting parts about this whole thing. Again, as long as he's around and involved in some way, the guy is a ticking time bomb. I mean, you talk about a fucking dark cloud hanging over this company that just is completely unnecessary. That's all this is. It's just one dark cloud. And yeah, he may be helpful in facilitating a sale or something like that, but to me, it's not worth the potential risk involved in keeping him around. But he doesn't care. Again, it's not about the company. This is about him. If he truly cared about the company, he would take a back seat. He would not threaten. He would not hold them hostage. He would not give them an ultimatum. That is the sign of a narcissistic, maybe a psychopath, but a narcissistic egomaniac is what he is. That's what an egomaniac does. It's all about them. Sean D, I'd like to see you low blow Brock 5 times. I mean, it would be very easy. We know Brock doesn't wear a cup. We found that out every time he wrestled the Undertaker, so it would probably take 5 times for me to even make an impact, but I'm not as big as the Undertaker is. Nah, maybe, with a $5 super chat. Questions. Do you think the increased talks about selling WWE is because the FTC wants to ban non-compete clauses? No. One does not have anything to do with the other. And you know, if this were any other week, that would be the top story this week. And that will not even be, probably will not even be in the first 30 minutes of the podcast on Sunday. But I will be talking about that, as that was another big story this week. Non-compete clauses for workers in the US could be going bye-bye if the FTC gets what they want, and that would apply to independent contractors. But nobody's talking about that now because everyone's talking about Vince McMahon. Yet again, he sucks the oxygen out of the room, and everything else that is going on is now completely clouded over by him and what he is doing. We'll talk about that on Sunday. Slim Yoshi with a $10 super chat. Congrats on the commissioner role. And also, I realized that the Mercedes-Kyrie match is on the same day as Elimination Chamber. Will you be live streaming twice on that day? I will not. I will be streaming for Elimination Chamber, and I think that's a huge fail. Why the fuck are they doing the show on that same day? That's very dumb. So yeah, the Kyrie and the Mercedes match is going to be airing on Fight TV at the same time. You know, unless it's earlier in the day, I don't believe it is. I mean, maybe it's in the afternoon, but I mean, why would you air that show on that same day? I don't get it. I mean, that's a huge L on their part. So no, I'll be reviewing Elimination Chamber that night. DEH Sires, Bloodline invades Raw again, and Pierce punishes them by making the stipulation that if Sammy loses to Kevin Owens, Roman would have to defend the title in the Rumble. Yeah, but I don't see Roman defending the title in the Rumble. No, I mean, that just doesn't work. Because he would be defending both titles, and he's not losing the championships then. So it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Hey, Tonic Blaze. Thank you. Tonic Blaze, one of our channel members. DEH, yet again, he says, and just make Owens against Roman for the Universal title only. Okay, so I only read your first super chat, but you know, even still, I don't really like that idea. When Cody wins the WWE title, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be his first match back in a Royal Rumble match. It should be in a spot like the main event of WrestleMania. So I'm still not really a fan of that idea. If they wanted to split the titles before WrestleMania, they had the chance 2 months ago and they didn't do it. Suffering in college. $13 super chat. I used to do that. It's not a coincidence McMahon pulled this stunt going into WrestleMania season. This dude will have the pen and headset by the Rumble. I don't think you're that far off. Slipperhouse extra. Karrion Kross hit me with his finish and put me to sleep. Thanks for the recap, Pastor Solomonster. James Hollins, I meant to say Cody, not Sammy, in the final four. Buffman, thank you for the $45 super chat earlier. I appreciate it. Buffman, you are good people. Bones Jones, second most fucked up January 6th in U.S. history. Jared Jackson with the $4.99. As commissioner of Hog, can demand Violet to surrender her number to me. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm not going to deliver that message. Because I'll tell you what I will do, though. I may have to hire some security. I may have to hire some extra security for her at the shows if Jared is going to be around. But I'm sure she will be flattered by your message. That is our House of Glory Women's Champion, the Ultraviolet. Deep delicious chicken and turkey with flavor. I watched Wrestle Kingdom 17 and your review about it. The show was effing amazing. Omega versus Ospreay was a match of the year candidate. Absolutely. First match of the year candidate of 2023. And I learned my lesson last year. I did not keep a running list last year of all of my favorite matches. So I was scrambling in December to go back through all the matches that I really loved. And then by the time I was done, I had a list of like 25 matches. But I have a log. I have an ongoing log. I don't mean like Kevin Dunn. I have an ongoing log. And I am keeping track of every match that I think is a match of the year candidate. So by the time we get to the end of the year, it'll all be in one list. I won't have to go back and wonder, hey, did I forget anything? It's all listed there. And then I'll just have to rank them. It'll make my life a lot easier. Hyru with the $10 super chat. Roman defends his titles in the chamber. Sammy is the last competitor. Roman asked him to lay down. Sammy hesitates. Roman kicks out, fights back, loses. The Bloodline beats him down. KO makes the save. That's kind of what I see happening. Something along those lines. I'm just not sure if he's defending the title in a singles match or if he's going to defend it in the chamber. I feel like it should be a singles match against Sammy. But something like that, I mean, that scenario could very well be it. That could play out that way. Uffman Entertainment, if anyone is going to kill what I created, it'll be me. That was Vince McMahon 21 years ago around this time. That was when he injected the lethal dose of poison into his own company. We have a life imitating art. Joseph Brooks, best Royal Rumble in the past 5 years is Royal Rumble 2019, 2020, or 2021. I think 2020. That was the one where Brock was in there. I love that Rumble. So I'm going to say 2020. Oh, Harold.
Man walking.
Well, look who it is. There he is, everybody. Kevin Dunn. The man, the myth, and the legend himself. Oh, Harold, name of the day, Heidenreich. What are your thoughts? I have no thoughts. The only thing I think of when I think of Heidenreich is Heiden rape. I think of the scene with Michael Cole, and that's terrible. That's the only thing I think of when I think of it. That's just awful. When that's the one thing that you are going to be remembered for, I don't think that speaks very highly to the career that you have. The Real Dirty Dan, Commissioner Solomonster on a pole match, bro. No, there will be no pole matches in House of Glory. Thomas Rondon. Charlotte can never be babyface. She has too much blank in her eyes. it's more her promos. It's more the voice and her tone and the way that she cuts her promo. It just screams heel to me. She's just the natural heel. Jockey Fowler, the $25 super chat. Also, Solomonster, you mentioned that Fright Night is a guilty pleasure. No. Fright Night is not a guilty pleasure. A guilty pleasure implies that it's something that's bad or that most people hate, but I like. Fright Night is not a guilty pleasure. Fright Night, if I said it that way, then that was wrong. Fright Night is a great movie. It is not a guilty pleasure. It is a pleasure for me to go back and watch that movie because it is great. So he says, I have to ask, what is your favorite scene in the movie? Mine is the bite scene and the club scene. Also, did you get my previous super chat? I did. I think I read it actually here on the air. My favorite scene, some of the practical effects in that movie are just fucking awesome. I mean, CGI can be good, but I'm a big practical effects guy. It's one of the reasons why I liked Fright Night so much, and also The Thing is great with the practical effects. My favorite scene in the movie, it might have been the bite scene, or the scene where the friend, I forgot the friend's name, where he dies and then transforms back to his human form. Like, that was a pretty, intense scene. So I might go with that one. It's always weird to go back and watch that movie knowing that that's Marcy from Married with Children as the love interest. Based Beerus, God of Seduction. Pregnant Joker is the new Baby Yoda. Pregnant what? What? Pregnant Joker? What is that? Do I even want to know? Yeah, Xantara, I'm talking about the Fright Night from 1985. Not if they remade that shit, I didn't see it. And I have no interest in seeing it. I'm talking about the original. If that was the original from 85. For years, I thought John Carpenter's thing was the original, and then I got schooled. That's not the original. That's just the best one, but that's not the original. Todd Warner with the $10 super chat. Congrats, Solo. What will be your theme music that you come out to now? I've got to give that some thought. I'm not sure if there will be theme music, but there might be. And so, I don't know. I have to think about that. Tyler the Ghost with the super chat. Thank you, Tyler. He wants to know, who are you, damn it?
I'm the Solomonster, damn it.
Thank you, Tyler. Rizzo, thank you for the 10 spot. Rizzo, you are the man. Deep delicious chicken and turkey with flavor, in my opinion, for Dax Harwood's comments about CM Punk and the Elite let me try this again. In my opinion, for Dax Harwood's comments about CM Punk and the Elite are trying sounds reason. I would love to see it, but realistically it won't happen. So, okay, so it wasn't just me that was confused by how you worded that. Rizzo with the $10 super chat. As a shareholder in WWE, I'm happy about the stock price, but as a fan, this sucks. Also, do you think the leaker to Wall Street Journal is one of the board members that resigned, or is he or she still there? Well, I don't know, but it's possible that it was, unless it was Stephanie. Of course, we had 2 members of the board resign voluntarily today. And it could have been any of them. Could have been any of them, could have been none of them. Bernard Frederick, what is up, my dog? What's up, my dog? How you doing, Bernard? Are you my Saint Bernard? Juan Ocampo, when coming out on TV as commissioner, do you do the Regal strut when he was commish back in 01? Can we get your best war game since you might be making matches? Well, I'll be making some important decisions, but well, it's too late for me to be screaming war games right now, so I won't do that now. But thank you, Juan. Thank you for the super chat. Deep Delicious, I did like the positive what Dax's said. I did like the positive, what Dax's said about Punk, but damn, that media scrum rant from Punk was no excuse. He also says CM Punk speculation, story running wild, Vince McMahon, hold my beer. I think you're drinking too much beer. I think that's what's going on with your super chats tonight. I'm trying to make sense of what I'm reading here. EJ Slemp, you've been commissioner for less than 24 hours and you're already a better commissioner than Roger Goodell, Rob Manfred, Gary Bettman, and Adam Silver. I thought everybody liked Adam Silver. I thought Adam Silver was the one commissioner that people actually liked. Is that not the case? Jackie says, I saw you got my first super chat. Sorry, I'm new. No need to apologize. I'm just glad that you're here and you're contributing. I think that's great. I hope you are enjoying your stay here on the channel. GCC 305 with the 10 spot. Hey, Solomonster. Congrats on being named the commish of HOG. Thank you, thank you. Also tonight, since I begin my work week at work by listening to this review and go back to listen to both your Wrestle Kingdom 17 and AEW Dynamite review. Yeah, Wednesday was a very busy day. We did Wrestle Kingdom, which I didn't even finish watching until like mid-afternoon. So then I had a race to eat something so that I can do a review before Dynamite started. Then we had a big Dynamite show. So yeah, very busy day. But the Wrestle Kingdom review is up on the channel if you missed it. It's about an hour long. Adam Silver is mediocre. Wow, Adam Silver has turned the NBA into a joke. Okay, I guess I was wrong. I thought Adam Silver was actually the most well-liked of all the commissioners. Maybe that's a low bar. I shall try to do better than all of them. Paul Heyman. I predict this year that Kevin Dunn will get fired by WWE and will get hired by Hogg so he can then go up to Solomonster and say, who's your daddy now? Oh my God, you talk about a nightmare scenario. Can you even fucking imagine? I talk about Vince McMahon being back being a nightmare. I'm gonna walk into Hogg one day and see Kevin Dunn standing there as my new boss. I'll resign immediately. Jared Jackson, totally kidding about Ultraviolet. Just wanted to show her some love. But she is hot, not gonna lie. Violet is great. And if you did not see the last Hogg show, the women's title match that she had with Masha Slamovich, which, I was on the call for, was excellent. It's probably the best match I've ever seen her have, honestly. So that was from our show in December, if you missed it. All those shows are archived, by the way, on Fight TV. EJ Slemp, would you consider No Limit as one of the few teams where both guys broke out after they broke up? Naito is the bigger star, but Yujiro is not Jannetty. Yeah, I mean, he's not Jannetty, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't exactly call him a big name. So, no, I don't think so. GCC, solo Hogg theme should be Hall and Oates out of touch. Yeah, but then it implies that I'm out of touch. I don't know if that works. Slim Yoshi, in 2 weeks it will be the 15th anniversary of one of our favorite movies of all time, a certain movie called Cloverfield. Well, the poster that used to be on the wall over here behind me was the Cloverfield movie poster. And I saw that movie in the theater 3 times when it came out with 3 different people. I went once with a friend of mine. I went once with 2 girls, 2 of my co-workers. And then I went with my brother, actually, the 3rd time. And the first time I saw the movie, I was so looking forward to that movie. Like, they sucked me into the viral marketing for it. And then I saw the movie and the viral marketing didn't have a fucking thing to do with it. But that was okay, because I still enjoyed the movie. But I went to go see the movie and it was found footage, shot like found footage. And I'd say like 20 minutes into the movie, I started to get sick. Now, we were in the biggest theater that they had. If you live in New York, if you live in Manhattan, when I used to go to the movies, I would usually go straight from work because I was always in the city. So in Times Square, you've got the AMC Empire 25, which is just floors of theaters. And across the street from the Empire 25 is the Regal Ewok. So if there was a movie I was going to see, it was either at AMC. If AMC didn't have it, then Regal usually had it. So Cloverfield was at the Regal, and I went there with the two girls, and it was the biggest theater they had. I think it fits like 500 people, right? So we got there, we're like first in line, and I'm like, come on. We go, and we're like in the middle row, kind of up, like I'm ready to go. And the movie starts, and we're 20 minutes in, and I'm starting to get sick. It's starting to make me queasy. And I just remember I'm sitting there, and I got these two girls, like one girl here, I got one girl here. This theater is packed. We're in the middle of the fucking row. We're not even at the end where if I had to get up, it would be easy. Like, we're right in the middle. And I feel like I'm about to, oh, my popcorn is going to come back up on me. And I'm just like, oh God, please, no. I go, okay, if I close my eyes, I'll just close my eyes for a minute. Maybe I'll be okay. And I closed my eyes for like 5 minutes. And thankfully, it calmed down. But it was just, I guess, the herky-jerky motion of the camera. So I learned my lesson, and the next time I went back to see the movie twice, but I took a Dramamine. I took a Dramamine pill, and I was fine. So I learned my lesson as far as motion sickness. I guess I have a touch of it. It's not severe. I went on the Jericho cruise. I've been on boats. Like, I'm okay usually. But for whatever reason, that movie, it got to me. And I was like, oh God, no, please. I was like, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. It was a close call. But I love Cloverfield. I believe they're in the middle of working on a proper sequel right now. I think it's actually, I don't know if it's in development or they're actually filming for it. So I'm just waiting to find out what the status of it is. That will be the movie that gets me to go back to the movie theater. EJ Slam, buy, sell, rent. Terry Funk in the 70s, Funk in the late 80s, feuding with Flair. And Funk in the 90s, in ECW and WWE. I would go Funk in the 80s, feuding with Flair. Rizzo. Kevin Dunn to you. Look at me. I'm the captain now. And Andre Williams with the $10 super chat. Hey, Solomonster, this year, M's being a 10-year fan. Him. Okay, him being a fan. I wasn't sure what you meant. Being a 10-year fan ever since TV Tracks days. Thanks for the awesome commentary. It has been a blast, bro. Well, I appreciate that. That's holy shit, a decade. It's a long time. Andre's one of the OGs. So thank you for sticking with me very much. Appreciate that. Granny Hell Yeah has been a channel member for 17 months. Happy New Year, Solomonster. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for being a channel member. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, sir. Steven says, I've got vertigo, but never had issues with roller coasters. Yeah, it's weird. I've been on roller coasters. I've never had issues. I've never had issues on the roller coasters. And I'm like afraid of heights and stuff, but whenever I used to go to like a Six Flags or some kind of, some kind of like amusement park or whatever, if my friends wanted to do it, I would do it, So we would do the Batman and Robin. We would do they had the Batman Chiller ride. They had the Great American Scream Machine. They had Viper was another roller coaster. They had Rolling Thunder, and I did all that shit, I don't know how, but I went on Nitro. Nitro at the time was like the tallest roller coaster, I think, in the country. I think it was like 250 feet in the air. And we did it at night. Actually, the line was so long when we started, it was still daylight. By the time we got to the front of the line, it was pitch black outside. So, you've got that slow descent, right? Up the roller coaster, and you're looking out, you see lights. Otherwise, it's all black. Like, to me, that's the most nerve-wracking part of the whole thing. It's just that slow climb. And you get to the very top, and there's that steep drop. You feel your stomach up in your chest. And then it's over. 20 seconds later, it's all over. I'm like, I stood in line for 2 hours for this? You know, but I did it. I didn't chicken out. I said, yeah, fuck it. If you guys are going to do it, I'll do it. What's the worst that happens? My harness comes open, I go flying, and, you know, I mean, I smash into a million pieces on the floor. I mean, what a way to go, right? YOLO. You only live once. Isn't that Liv Morgan's catchphrase? Buffman did Nitro 3 times in a row at Six Flags. Once was enough for me. I threw up on a waltzer once. Went everywhere. What a visual. Oh boy. Anyway, you guys smashed the likes goal, and so my gift to you is the gift of some Be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
Be the Booker. We did not have a good night doing Be the Booker the other night, so I'm hoping we can redeem ourselves here. We had a terrible night on Wednesday, so let's see if we can do better. You know, the slingshot is one thing I never did. I never did the slingshot thing that just kind of vaults you into the air and then back. I never did that. And I never did bungee jumping. I never had the guts to do that. We begin with Samoa Joe, the king of television no more. He lost his TNT title to Darby Allin, or as Taz would say, Dobby. He lost his title to Dobby on Wednesday. Still champion in our hearts, though. Samoa Joe going to step back into the ring to go one-on-one with the... Oh, God. Oh, my God. I was so terrified I forgot where the button was. I just saw him and I said, oh, no. You know, I'm a big Samoa Joe fan, but there ain't no... There's no saving this. Like, I don't think anybody could have come up in this where I would have hit anything but the buzzer. There's just nothing that can be done. I mean, there's no hope. When the great Khali comes up, there's just no hope. Well, thankfully, there's no great Khali here in the women's Be the Booker. If there was, there would have a real problem here. So let's see. On the women's side, we begin with Dixie Carter, former TNA president, Dixie Carter. Dixie Carter going to be going one-on-one with Saraya. Looks like she just stepped on a Lego here in this image. Again, it didn't matter who I landed on. As soon as I hit Dixie, that was it. Right? There's no saving that. The thing would Be the Booker. The thing with these Be the Bookers. You gotta have some poison pills. Great Khali, I would consider him to be a poison pill. Dixie Carter, she's a poison pill. No offense. So that's 2 poison pills in a row. We go to the tag teams. What is happening to Be the Booker? Be the Booker is not cooperating this week. This is not good. Come on, man. I want to book something interesting. All right, here we go. We have the New Day. Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Big E. We'll do the Freebird rules, so any 2 of them can compete here and Be the Booker. Hey, maybe we'll land on the Freebirds. That would be cool. Freebirds and New Day? What do you think? I know I have the Freebirds in here. I know that. We got the New Day taking on Kane and the Big Show. Oh, my God. Oh, no. I'm having flashbacks to the 2015 Royal Rumble. God help me. Oh, man. I don't know, guys. I have no explanation for it. Sometimes it's just not our night. I don't know what to tell you. Kane and the Big Show. Fallout with the $2. How many billions do you estimate is WWE worth? Well, I don't know. What was their market cap at the end of the day today? I would say they're probably worth at least $5 billion, maybe 6. I think 5 is a pretty decent number. Deep Delicious Chicken and Turkey says bungee jumping for 10 grand or skydiving for $1 million. You know, it's funny. I'm talking about how, you know, I'm not really a fan of heights and stuff. I've thought about the whole skydiving thing. I don't think I'd have the guts to do it, but for $1 million, I would go skydiving. I think I would bite the bullet and go skydiving. Dr. Dakota Scorpio, Vince's return cursed be the Booker going forward. You know, you may be right. I'll tell you what, this be the Booker thing, it's not a good look for me when it comes to making matches as the commissioner. I'm going to have to do a better job than that. I'll tell you what, though, the plan that I have for Mr. Mason, though, with this bounty hunter, it's going to be a lot better than what we had here in Be the Booker. I'll tell you that much. One last look at the Twitter poll. We are now just under 60%, 59.7 thumbs up, 25.8% thumbs in the middle, and 14% thumbs down. Cast your vote at Solomonster. Thank you to all my new followers. You know, the one thing whenever Vince McMahon does something is I pick up a whole bunch of followers when I start tweeting about it. So if you are new on Twitter, thank you very much. Hey, we got Charles Burnett dropping a $20 super chat. It's going to be coming in here any second. I'll give it to you now. Charles says if Jeff Hardy was originally going to win Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 24 and cash in that same night during Cena against Orton against Triple H, would that triple threat match have main evented that night rather than Edge against The Undertaker? It's a very good question. I don't know if that was the plan, by the way, for Jeff Hardy to cash in that night. My understanding is that he was going to win Money in the Bank. But that does not necessarily mean that he was going to cash in that same night. If he was going to cash in and win, then yes, I think that would have headlined the show. But I've never heard that was the plan. So. But again, Charles, thank you for the $20. Who you calling Pinhead? The $4.99. I hate to say it, but that tag match would be the match of the night. I mean, compared to the other two that I booked, fucking Great Khali and Dixie Carter. You put me in the ring, it would be a better match than that. I mean, that's not saying much. All right, so Anthony says WWE's net worth is $6.27 billion. So there you go. I said about 5 or 6 billion. That sounds about right. The thing about WWE is there's so much content. You know, there's so many hours of content. I mean, it would be attractive to anybody who has a streaming platform or, you know, cable channels. That's why they're always in such a good position to keep making more money on these deals, because there's so much content. And they've been established over a period of decades. Whereas in AEW, for example, is still the new kid on the block. I mean, AEW has 3 years. WWE has what, 60? I mean, it's no comparison. If you're, you know, one of these big companies on the outside looking in. Uffman says, after going 0 for 3, I still respect you, Booker man. Well, thank you, Uffman. At least somebody has respect for me. Mellencamp says, Samoa Joe against Khali would be a banger. Yes, it would. It would be me banging my head against the wall. Dr. Dakota Scorpio, let's hope it's not a Mason on a pole match. It will not be a Mason on a pole match. I promise you that. Am I going to get physical in the ring since I am the commissioner now? I am the commissioner. I am not a wrestler. Nobody is going to get physical with me. I will not stand for that. I have a fantastic lawyer. Paul Heyman hooked me up with a good lawyer if I need one. So what the hell was with budget cut? Oh yeah, budget cuts. That's right. Yeah. Air quotes. Budget cuts. And Rizzo here, getting in at the buzzer here before we get out of here. $5 super chat. WWE possibly being sold. I think could be fantastic for AEW. If NBC buys WWE, all of a sudden you have Fox, ESPN, and Warner all looking at AEW, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know that Fox would have any interest in it. You know, Fox gets 2 million plus viewers for SmackDown every week. In frankly, not a great time slot on a Friday night. AEW has never demonstrated the ability to get numbers like that. So I don't see what the value would be in Fox going after them, but you know, AEW will have interest, I think, not just from Warner, but from other places. The question with AEW is, can they get more money than they're making now? That's the only question. They're not going to get WWE money. But can Tony Khan double or triple the amount of money that he's making now? That's the big question that's kind of lingering over AEW in 2023 as they head into their negotiations. And it's coming at a time where a lot of these companies are starting to pull back. You know, people have been, I mean, the amount of money that is being spent on media rights over the last few years is asinine. It is ridiculous. But the bubble may be bursting a little bit now. You know, a lot of these companies now are not making money on their streaming services. They're taking a bath on that. They're taking a bath with their cable channels, and they may start to pull back some of those dollars. And that's not good for WWE or for AEW. You know, there was an article today in Variety talking about the whole Vince thing and Vince coming back and how he may have really screwed up because the time to sell the company was not now, it was last summer. Well, WWE was a little preoccupied last summer because of his bullshit that was going on. But that may have been the peak where they could have gotten the most. You know, they may have missed their mark. It may be too late for them to get the kind of deal that they want. So it's going to be a very interesting year to follow where both companies land. And Uffman Entertainment, will you be wearing a commissioner shirt? No, I'll be dressed professionally as I always am. That's one thing you can always depend on with me. I'm not going to be showing up wearing a tank top and flip-flops. I will not allow that at our shows. So anyway, thank you for hanging out with me tonight. This has obviously been a very busy 24-hour period. A lot going on, not all good. And I said my piece for now about the Vince McMahon stuff. That's just scratching the surface. We will get into all the details, all the dirty details about it, and a lot more thoughts about the whole Vince McMahon debacle. On Sunday, we'll talk about this non-compete clause stuff that's been in the news the last few days. Some Wrestle Kingdom fallout. We'll talk about Mercedes and her debut over in New Japan. We have some other WWE news, Money in the Bank coming to London, and some NWA news. Some Dana White news. Speaking of embarrassments, we'll talk about Dana White and his little slap fight league, which is in jeopardy now because he decided to slap his wife. All the things to do. You have a slap fight league that's about to premiere on television, and he smacks his wife. What a fucking moron. So we have a lot to cover, a lot of stupidity to cover on the show on Sunday. That'll be episode 790. So until then, be well, stay safe, have yourselves a fantastic weekend, and I'm going to leave you here. For those of you who may have missed it at the very beginning of the stream, I thank you again for all the kind comments about my new gig with HOG. We are heading into a brand new era here this year, a very fun period with House of Glory, and I am honored and proud to be part of it, proud to be the new commissioner for House of Glory. The news dropped earlier tonight, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun 2023. So until Sunday, and then back with you live here on Monday, Solomonster saying so long, and I will see you guys back here very soon. Take care.
Hello? Mr. P. How are you, sir? Happy New Year. Yes? Of course. I'd be honored. Thank you, sir. It would be an honor. Right away, sir. You too.
You alright? You look like you just seen a ghost.
I got the job.
So you're the commissioner of House of Glory Wrestling?
Yeah. I guess so.
So what's going to be your first assignment?
Go after Charles Mason.
You want me to get HOGPD on the line?
No. We've tried that before. No, this is personal. We have to go in a different direction here. I know what we need. We need a bounty hunter. And I know just the man for the job.